feeling cold against your skin. Running through the chaos, letting all the sin. Temptation in a bottle, ready for the night. Craving for the thrill, it's time to ignite. Dark desires burning bright, echoes in the dead of night. No retreat, no looking back on this heart attack.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Good to see you back for an early show again because we're not doing the late shows. We can do them tomorrow. Just we couldn't do it yesterday and today, but we can do it from tomorrow. Big update this morning. I know I've been keeping information very quiet about this trial, but finally, earlier this morning, about what was it, 10:30 a.m., we got notice that the verdict had come in from the jury, and that we had to get to court, or at least get to it, watch the verdict, and everyone gathered. They were waiting there. It's been a pretty long deliberations, about a week, and there's been a lot of questions from the jury throughout the week. There's been a ton of them, more than I've ever seen through an Australian trial. Sometimes you get one, sometimes you get none. This one felt like there was a question almost every day, which was very interesting. And the jury came in. The justice, well, actually, the justice associate, I think, asked the foreman of the jury what was their verdict in relation to count one, murder. They came back with a not guilty verdict. Asked about count two, which was an alternate charge, which was manslaughter. That charge also came back as not guilty. So Jodie Hill, DPP v. Jodie Hill, is done. Not guilty. Jodie Hill can leave custody today. I think they were even trying to get her out of custody as soon as the verdict was read. They were like, well, you can go, you can leave out of the front door. So for the first time in 18 months, Jodie Hill will taste freedom just before Christmas too. So what a Christmas miracle for her. Found not guilty on both charges, which I've never seen before. It was pretty interesting. The fact that this one came back as two not guilty verdicts is a surprise, but I'll tell you, when I was watching the courtroom, I saw her barrister, and her barrister, when the verdict came out, he had his head in his hands, and he was like in disbelief. He was very emotional, and you could see in his, like, the way he was moving and stuff. He's like, "Come on, you have to keep it together. We got to get through this. You can't break down now and have an emotional moment. You have to be very, this is a courtroom. You have to be very, upright." And he was like trying to stop himself from getting any more emotional. He seemed very relieved, I think, is one. But the fact that it came back in his favor, I think he was a little shocked as well. Um, so over the coming days, I can start telling you much more about the Jodie Hill trial. This is really only part one. This is really only part one, because we have a second person who will go to trial later on for the murder of John Hunter. Now, this particular one, Jodie Hill, not guilty, um, that is now done and dusted. But we have a second one, which I think will be next year. I have to double check what's going on with that, because there was some legalities going on with that particular one, but it was originally supposed to be two people, and now it got separated. And we saw Jodie Hill's one. There is a second man who will face a trial at some point over the death of John Hunter. Now, I think a lot of people will ask, do you think the DPP would appeal the verdict? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to. I don't think it's worth their time, and I don't think they I don't think they would think they would get a favorable result on a retrial, and so it's not worth the effort of going through an appeal. At least that's what I think. The fact that your jury came back with they had two options: the murder charge and the manslaughter, and they came back with not guilty on both of them. I think why would you go back for another bite of that particular apple? I think that wouldn't make any sense. But hey, who knows? The DPP will do what they want to do. But yeah, very interesting. The fact that this came back, you have to wonder why. And we'll go through some of the evidence and things like that over the coming days. But I can tell you, I think in this particular case, from listening to all the evidence and watching all the evidence, I think it came down to like what is the burden for the jury to reach that beyond reasonable doubt. And I think maybe that is where that line was, and they were well, it is. You have to be able to go past that to be able to find someone guilty. And I think they were unable to get there. And I think the defense threw up enough to create that some doubt there that she had any active role in the killing of John Hunter. And I think they did a pretty good job of trying to isolate what her role was on that night. Hold on. Now, they said during the trial her role was basically she went with a friend, an acquaintance to this property, and then this friend, that's the person who will go on trial later, attacked Mr. Hunter. They are saying that Jodie Hill never played an active role in the death of Mr. Hunter. That she was there, but she wasn't a willing co-conspirator to kill Mr. Hill. And I think that that is where the sort of crux of the issue and decisions were with this particular one. Yeah, thank you for the donation, Danny. Danny, who got it? He gifted a membership to someone. You'll have to let me know. Rachel said this is a surprise to me, but I'll wait for more info. Yeah, give me a day or so, and I will run you through a lot more of the evidence. What is going on? Hold on. Sorry, it's been very hot here over the last like 3 days. It's been between 90 and 100 degrees for like the last 3 days. And Ping has been super dehydrated. Let's see. Hey Texas, how are you? Betty, hey Betty, good to see you guys. So yeah, let me get set up now that I've told you that little bit. So yeah, a bit of a surprise verdict, but judging from some of the questions that the jury asked during the trial and some of what seemed like sticking points, I think this verdict makes a lot of sense, and we'll find out more in a little while. Yeah, I just want to put this up here for a sec. We'll get to this in a minute. Hey, good to see you guys. Whoa, there we go. It's been a busy morning. I wasn't expecting to have to get into a verdict today. I don't think so, not yet. Or at least they had someone surrounded before. I will double check in a second, but we'll talk about it in a minute. Let's have a look. Hey, Mamma Mia, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you guys. It is. Yeah. Let me see if I can bring up this. Hold on, guys. Let me see if I can go back to like day one. No, not that one. I'll have to find it. We may have to do like a whole show on Jodie Hill tomorrow. But I can tell you this. I hope for Jodie's sake, after watching her at trial, that this was a huge wake up call for her. And the two people I saw at the trial was, and I don't mean to throw this around lightly, but the person I saw before when they were arrested for the death of John Hunter was an alcoholic who was living a homeless slash nomadic existence. The woman I saw at the trial that gave evidence seemed like the time in jail had done her some good. And I don't mean to sound mean, like, oh, jail's the only way to clean some people up. No, I don't mean it like that. I just mean she's had some time away from whatever was leading her down that road, leading her down that road. Uh, and I hope she doesn't go back to the way it was. I really do. I hope she doesn't go back to the person that she was before all of this happened, all the trial, all the, murder charges and things like that. Because the person I saw on the stand was a completely different person to the person I saw in the police interview from the day that she was charged with murder. Two completely different people. The one that was in the video that was charged with murder, an alcoholic, lived to drink, seemed like she was trying to drown her sorrows and get away from her problems in her life. She had a big relationship breakdown, which triggered a lot of, I think, some of her life choices. And it just seemed like the woman that had spent 18 months in jail had got a lot of medical help in jail, had got away from the alcohol, and seemed like a more healthy person that I saw in trial. So I hope, yeah, it sounds awful to say, like, I hope you take the lessons you learn in jail, but it does. I hope the jail showed you the different person you could be rather than going back to being an alcoholic. Uh, you know, because that would be sad. That would be really sad to go through all this, and then as soon as you get out of jail, you're like, I'm going to go to the bottle shop and get more alcohol. And I've had a traumatic 18 months in jail, so I'm just going to drown my sorrows and celebrate. I'm going to celebrate and drown my pain of being in jail by going back to the life I had before. And I don't know what kind of aftercare or anything they have with people who have been in jail. I don't know, but I hope there's something because it must be pretty scary for her, right? She got taken from where she was basically homeless in Dimbula. She got taken away from that world, thrown into a jail cell, went through a trial, and now is about to be kicked onto the streets of Melbourne a week before Christmas. And because she's not a prisoner, she's not someone getting released from a sentence. So it's not like they would send her to a halfway house or something like that because she's not a convict or anything. So I don't know what happens with people that like this happens to. They get charged, found not guilty, and then get out of prison basically. So I don't know. Gail said, I hope she sees how good she's feeling now, but has some help on the outside. I hope so, because the person I saw beforehand was an absolute mess. Was an absolute, like, she looked rough. Like, she looked ill, very rough, very underweight. She looked like her breakfast would be a bottle of Jim Beam, literally, I think. And when you listen to the police interview, which maybe I hope to get and show it to you, their lives revolved around drinking. Like they're all like, "Oh, we were at the bottle shop and we went and picked up a bottle of beer and then we went back and we ran out of beer, so we went back and picked up some wine." And it just seemed like she'd got in with a really bad crowd. Um, a bunch of people who basically lived to drink. So yeah, I hope she does not go back to Dimbula because it seems like a lady of two different lives. Her life before she got to Dimbula seemed like she was living a very normal life. She had a partner, she had a kid, they were, had a house together, a property, and then she had this relationship breakdown, and then it sent her on a spiral where she ended up homeless, living in country Dimbula, living in a caravan with a guy who hurt her a lot, caused a lot of DV to her to the point he beat her up so bad one night, he cut her leg to the point it was in the muscle, and she didn't look after it. It ended up getting a really bad infection in it, and she had to be hospitalized for it. And that's the type of life she was living. She was living with a dude that would beat the shit out of her. They would drink, patch it up, roam around the town, and then she gets caught up in this murder with a guy she'd known for. So the guy that committed the DV on her is not the guy that was there the night of the murder. This is a different guy that she met in Dimbula. That guy she'd known for less than a week. Went for a walk with him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go pick up money from a friend. That guy owes me some coin." And they went for this walk around the corner to meet this guy, older man, Mr. Hunter, in his 70s, and that's when it all transpired. The other person got into the home and, according to Jodie's testimony, started beating the crap out of Mr. Hunter while she was on the outside of the door. So, if you imagine a home has a back entrance and a front entrance, the other person came in through the front entrance, started attacking the man, Mr. Hunter, and Jodie was at a back door, like a glass door, and it was closed. And she could see the attack taking place on the man, but she couldn't do anything about it because it was a locked door. So that's what they were saying during the trial. Does that make her an accomplice to murder, or does that make her someone just in a bad situation? Does that make her should she have done more? Should she have called an ambulance? Should she have done X, Y, and Z? But her lawyer put up a good case that while she was there that night, she didn't actively participate in the killing of John Hunter. And the jury believed that story because that's what they found. They found her not guilty. So there you go. Betsy said, I hope she takes this second chance seriously. Me too. I hope she does too. She seems like a nice enough lady. Um, I mean, I don't know her, but from everything I read, they went through basically her whole entire life during the trial. They went through from, when she was like a teenager all the way up to the death of John Hunter. I hope so too. I hope she runs far away from Dimbula and does not go back to these people. I don't think that's a healthy place for her at all. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I hope she doesn't go back to Dimbula. Where she goes from here, no idea, but she's a free woman. I would suspect, what time is it? I would suspect she's free by now. The verdict came in at about 11 a.m., and they said it was going to take somewhere around an hour to sort her affairs out, get her property, she has things up in the jail that she needs, and that she'd be let go. She's been found in a court of law to be innocent, basically. You know what they say? Innocent until proven guilty. She was never proven guilty. So she is an innocent woman as far as the law is concerned. So yeah, she will get to go free. She's probably free right now, I would suspect. I would suspect she's out. JDR said some people are attracted to people who are wrong for them. Yeah, she definitely seemed to be hanging around some people who were not in her best interest. And I hope she was able to listen to past Jodie at the trial, because I had a recording of her when she did her police interview. Plus, they had jail cell phone conversations, and I hope she was able to listen to all that and see the different person she was back then, because she was a mess. She was, yeah, she was not in a good way. She looks so different. I'll tell you, when I saw her record of interview, I was like, okay, that's the person I'm going to see if she gives evidence, and she did. She ended up taking the stand in her own defense. And then when she took the stand, completely different person, completely different person. If you put the one in the police interview with the one that we saw at the trial side by side, you wouldn't even think they're the same person. I promise. The one in the police interview weighed about 48 kilos, super thin, super gaunt, had very short hair, I think short hair, and looked very ill. Looked like an alcoholic, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. I just mean that's the life she was living. And then the woman at the trial looked a little more healthy, looked like she had been able to get some food in jail and restore some of her health and actually, uh, eat something. Because some of the evidence was detailing like they had no money, they weren't eating, they would like wait for their social security to come in, and it was a real awful life. So, in jail, you get 3 meals a day. You have it's same as in America, you have a canteen that you can order from, stuff like that. So she had access to more nutrition in jail than she did on the outside. Did she have any past convictions? I I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think it was ever brought up during the trial, and yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say I wouldn't think so, but I just tell you I don't know. I'm not sure. So when you're done, when they do trials like this, they don't bring in what you've done in the past. They want you to be judged most of the time on the circumstances surrounding the one crime. They don't want to be like prejudicing the trial with things you may have done beforehand. Sometimes they will, like if you're a repeat offender, like say you're a PDF file, and they'll say, "Oh, he's a repeat offender," and stuff like that. They may bring it in, but most of the time, if it's not related, then they just won't report on it. It won't be brought into the trial. So I don't remember hearing any evidence about prior history or anything. So whether she does or doesn't, I don't know. Um, like Liza, says, just curious, hope she can start anew. Me too. Very interesting. I've never been a part of a trial where there's been a double not guilty verdict and someone's literally been able to just walk out of the courtroom. Like uh uh Justice Dixon was like, you can go. She's like, she's not being held on anything else. No, wow, she can just leave. Um, yeah, she's like, unchain her and let her out the front door. because that's it, right? You went through the trial, you you got the verdict in your favor. That's it. The DPP did not prove their case. You go back to how it was 18 months ago before you were charged with a crime. And yeah, the judge was like, yeah, she can leave out the front door right now if she wants. But I think there was some technical stuff they had to do before they actually let her go. But yeah, she's free to go. So yeah, really interesting, really long trial, very long trial. Went over, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. Um, One of the interesting things, I'll tell you this: the jury in this particular one were given the option of having a lifetime ban from ever serving jury duty ever again. The Justice Dixon was like, you can have 5 years, you can have 10 years, you can have 20 years, or you can have forever. She's like, because of the extent of the trial, because you served leading up to Christmas, you can have as long as you want. If you want a timeline, you can have one. If you never want to serve ever again, she was okay with that as well, which I found interesting, and I'll tell you why. At Aaron Patterson's trial, which ran for frickin' ages, went for almost like 3 months, and went over. Originally, it was scheduled for a month and a half, ended up being almost 3 months. That particular jury was only given 17 years from being from able to, like, they were banned for 17 years from sitting on another jury. So it's interesting why these ones were given a option to have a lifetime ban, but the ones in Aaron Patterson's one, which was one of the biggest trials ever in Victoria, they were only given 17 years as a option. So yeah, I don't know what the difference is. Kathy said, if she admitted to it, how did she get off? She never admitted to it. She So during the trial, we heard some evidence from, um, so when she was taken in for questioning, she was put in a holding cell. While in the holding cell, they put in an undercover operative with her. So they put in a cop, and the cop was asking her all these questions. And during this conversation, Jodie said a couple of things that the prosecution thought was an admission. Jodie's legal team was able to successfully explain away what she was doing in that cell, um, and basically make it sound like not an admission. Now, I listened to some of it and I've read some of the transcript of them two talking. It does very much sound like her admitting to killing John Hunter. But when you listen to her explanation of what she was doing in that cell, she said that when she was in the cell, this random woman got put in with her. And then within about 15-20 minutes, this woman started talking to her and started asking her very strange questions. Jodie was like, I knew it wasn't undercover. She's like, it was so obvious that she was trying to get information from me that I just started making things up. She's like, I just started telling her all sorts of random things about what happened. And so her version of events is that what she told the undercover operative was a lie, and that she just started making things up to get her off her back, basically. And just so happened to be that one of the things she told the undercover operative was that she had gouged out the eyes of Mr. Hill. Unfortunately, Mr. Hill's eyes were really gouged out. That did happen at the crime scene. So that's what she's saying. So she's saying that that was her lying, basically, that she was lying to get this undercover operative to go away, and she didn't want to answer her question, so she just made stuff up. But um, yeah, I know. But the jury believed it because they found her not guilty, and they think that that was not anything to do with the murder. Now, I'll have to check my notes from that. I believe there was a discrepancy, though. What she told the undercover operative didn't match the crime scene. There was something there, like, I think she said, "Oh, I gouged out his eyes with something," and then when they went to the evidence, it didn't make any sense. So what she was saying was not fully true. Sounds really bad on the surface, but when they actually looked at the forensic evidence and the evidence from the people who did the autopsy, it didn't match. So it's almost like maybe she heard about it from the other person who was involved, and that she co-opted that information and just added to it. So I that may be what happened. Not that it was brought up at the trial. Laurie said thought she was outside the door. Yeah, she was. Well, that's her story. She said she was lying to the undercover operative. So the story about gouging out his eyes or whatever is not, like, she's saying it's a lie, and that the real story is that she was outside of the door. Sally said, "Who is Pink talking about?" I am talking about Jodie Hill, who was found not guilty today on murder and manslaughter, which is yeah, a new one for me. I've never done a trial that's ended in a verdict like that. I've done a couple that have ended up in not guilty, but never with the yeah, yes, with murder and found not guilty, but never with a murder with an alternate charge of manslaughter. Normally, I've been in a couple of trials where they're found not guilty of the murder, but they are found guilty of the manslaughter. And I thought that was what was going to happen here. When they read out the first verdict and they were saying not guilty, I was expecting a guilty verdict to come for the manslaughter charge. And nope, it was not guilty for that one as well. Yeah, I'll dig up the evidence. Now I have that, but it's buried in about, I can't even tell you how many pages of writing. Where is it? Can't remember what page I got up to. Let me have a look. Is it that one? Nope, that's what? No, that's not it. Yeah. 1,422 pages. So I'll dig up the information for you and I'll show you where what was said about the gouging and how it didn't match to the autopsy. I'll get that for you. Hey Kim, how are you? Hey Marilyn, yeah, a very big surprise. Hey Leisha, how are you, my friend? Rachel said, so none of the physical evidence put her in the house. I would say yes and no. Some of the physical evidence said that she touched John Hunter, and they said that there was some touch DNA evidence on John Hunter that says that she touched him, and I think it was on one of his arms and a wrist. I don't think there's any other evidence inside the home that she was in there. All the other evidence that put her at the crime scene was on the outside of the property. So they have her fingerprint on a gate, they have her handprint somewhere else. All of it tends to be on the outside of the property, and then some of her touching John Hunter. But she said when there was an original conversation with John Hunter, before the other person went round to the front of the house and entered through the front, there was a conversation at the back door where Jodie watched Mr. Hunter be killed. Originally, that door was open. Mr. Hunter was talking to the male, and somewhere around there, she grabbed Mr. Hunter's hand and was telling him, like, just give him the money, so he will go away. and she said she put her hand out and grabbed him on the wrist and was saying things like, "Just give him the cash. He'll go away if you do." Because originally they went there to get money or coin that was owed. Apparently, I don't know if we ever got an answer on if that was a real thing or not, but there was a conversation at that back door before the other person went round to the front and entered through the front and beat Mr. Hunter to death. So there is a little bit of DNA evidence. There is a little bit of like fingerprint evidence, but it's mostly situated around the outside of the property and then a little bit on the body of Mr. Hunter. So I'll tell you more about it when I can dig through the notes for you. But yeah. So if you ask me if I think the DPP will try again, I don't think so. I think it's such a solid result coming back as a double not guilty, even to the alternate charge of manslaughter. I just don't think they'll try. I think they've got I think they've got a bigger fish to fry, is what I think. I think they've got a bigger fish to fry in this particular one. Hey Peachy, how are you? Don't forget, touch DNA proves no one had ever been around what? Don't forget, touch DNA proves no one had ever been around John Benet Ramsey were at fault for her demise. Hey, good to see you, my friend. Long day lecturing at Morehouse. What is Morehouse? You'll have to tell me what it is. What is it? Let me look it up. What is it? Oh, it's a college in Atlanta. Ah, cool. That would explain why your name is Peachy because Atlanta, Georgia. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, okay, cool. I hope you had a good day lecturing. So yeah, we do have some DNA to go through, and the way they classified the DNA evidence in this particular trial, and because it was sort of like touch DNA, they they classified it as like moderate or there's a scale. And a lot of the ones for Jodie Hill were on the bottom end of the scale in regards to touch DNA. So it was like very light, as where some of the other DNA found at the scene was a lot at the other end of the scale for the other accused. So there's another accused person, their DNA was on the heavy end of the scale. Jodie's was at the other end. So they were able to play that off in the trial by saying, look, she's barely got any DNA on him. It sort of coincides with her story about only touching him very briefly and not actually committing any murderous actions on him. Because they were saying if she did kill him and then do all these things to him, wouldn't there be heavier DNA on Mr. Hunter? Wouldn't there be like more, heavy to severe traces of Jody Hill all over him? And there just wasn't. There just wasn't very many. So there you go. Some of the weird complexities at trial that can happen. So yeah, there you go. After a month, and I don't even know what day we got up to. What day does this say? Can't remember what day we got up to. 17, 18. What day was that? 17, 21 December. I'm not sure. I lost track of how many days. Here we go. Mm, might have been up to trial day number 19 or something. 19, 20. So we had something like somewhere in there. And that's days at trial, not weeks. That's like days that you're actually at the courthouse. So that doesn't line up with like a calendar as such. Like it's not like 17 days doesn't sound like much, but when you spread it out over a trial, it's different. Um, Okay, all right. Enjoy your snack, my friend. Yes, so a hell of a day. I don't know what happens next. I will try and find out from the court whether I don't know, who would you contact? Services? Maybe I have to contact the prison, and because I want to know if there is any aftercare for someone like Jodie. If they, what happens to her? Do they literally just kick her out on the street and just be like, "See you later, ma'am. You've been found not guilty. Bye." I'd like to know what happens to her because this is a woman who doesn't have very much on the outside of that courtroom. Um, Not a lot of family, not a lot of people in her life. And what would she do if you put her out on the street in Melbourne? She might just be homeless, literally. She doesn't have a home to go to. She doesn't have any property that she owns. I would like to know what happens to her like tonight. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Yes, please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. All right, so tomorrow night, if you give me 24 hours to run through some of this evidence, I will do a much more in depth on the DNA, the fingerprint, and the crime scene, and the autopsy, and then we can go through it together, and I can show you where the different evidence lines up with the story that the jury chose, and then I can show you how that relates to the prosecution and what they were saying was going to happen, which didn't end up happening. The prosecution were wrong. Well, not wrong, but their story was not believed. All right, I want to take you to the Brown shooting. I got a update here. I just want to bring it to you. If we can go to, is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah. So they did issue an arrest warrant for, not this one. Sorry, guys. We'll go up here. They have issued an arrest warrant for someone, and I just want to grab. All right. It's a long video. I don't want to play it all. I just want to play a little bit of it so we can catch up together.
Breaking news in the investigation into last weekend's deadly shooting at Brown University. 3 senior law enforcement officials now confirming to NBC News that a person of interest has been identified. This significant development comes as 4 senior law enforcement officials also confirmed to NBC News that police are looking into whether the deadly shooting of an MIT professor in the Boston area is connected to the attack at Brown in Providence. That professor was shot and killed in his home in Brookline Monday night. 2 days after a shooter opened fire in an academic building at Brown, killing 2 students and injuring 9 others. Joining me now, NBC News national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent Tom Winter, as well as Jim Kavanaugh. Thanks to both of you for being here. Tom,
All right. I'm not going to play a panel from them. Yeah, we'll just go here. So this was a car that got picked up on a license plate recognition detector, which are becoming much more common in law enforcement. They're used in Australia too. They're quite common here, where they can scan license plates of cars around them, driving, parked, and it makes it very easy to find cars that the authorities are looking for. And they're saying here the vehicle used by a gunman who killed 2 students at Brown University has been found abandoned at a storage facility in New Hampshire. They're saying law enforcement officials in tactical gear descended on the facility with guns drawn on Thursday night as cops probe whether the suspect may also be linked to the murder of an MIT professor. They're saying the abandoned vehicle, which was rented by the gunman, was found parked outside the building. The lead came when a license plate reader flagged one of the license plates that matched the car the suspect was driving. The vehicle was the same make and model as a car identified in connection with the shooting of the MIT professor. That is very interesting. I hope they end up being not connected. That's a very concerning update. Yeah, I want to talk to you about the arrest warrant. Yeah, we'll go to CNN. Authorities set to address media as police believe they have identified Brown University's suspect. So we'll try to get that live stream. Yep, they're saying law enforcement officials are swarming an area where they believe they found an abandoned car with a license plate believed to be connected to the suspect as the manhunt continues. So we should be getting a press conference. Yeah, let's have a look. Press. Yeah. All right. I have the press conference. As soon as it goes live and they start talking, I will take you to it. So, yeah, I do have it on another screen right now. And as soon as it comes up, we'll get the latest information together, which would be good. I'm currently watching it. So, it's Providence Police, and they've got a big room set up. And it looks like they're waiting for people to come out and address the media. So should be any minute. Everyone's waiting. Everyone's got their phones out. There's people everywhere. So we should be able to go to it any minute. Oh, a person came out. Dun dun. Oh no, they went back in. Isn't it fun when people do that at press conferences? They come out, they're like, whoa, look at all the people. I went through the wrong door. And they're like, I'm going to get out of here. And then they just go back. All right, looks like there's a guy waiting. So should be able to go to it in a minute. Brown shooter found dead. Ah, they found him dead. Okay. Ping's behind apparently today. Probably because I've been doing the Supreme Court things earlier. All right, well, we'll get to the press conference and they'll tell us more about what happened. Shooter's dead. Okay. We'll see in a minute. Yeah, there's no audio on it as of yet. Really? Shooter dead. Let's have a look. Hmm. Let me go over here. Yeah, I found abandoned as cops close in. Okay. It's not showing it for me, but okay. Coward, yeah. Seems like it. Well, we'll find out more. That's obviously why they called the press conference. So as soon as it goes live, it's not still showing basically an empty podium, and then we'll find out together. There's just a woman sitting behind the podium who I don't know who that is. But the media all look a little kerfuffled. They're all checking their phones very sort of frantically. So must be information going around pretty quickly. Yeah, interesting. None of the topics, like headline topics, have been updated for this, for the shooter being found dead. Ah, Fox is saying they found the shooter deceased in the storage unit, like where they found the car. Okay. Lookner is reporting he is dead. Well, if it came from Fox News, I mean, fair enough. Montana said, any clue if these victims had someone in common? I don't know about in common, but they're saying there could be a link to the other professor, the MIT professor, and what those links between those people at Brown and that at MIT. I got no idea. Yeah, I saw that plane crash earlier today. That was horrific. I don't know what is going on with this press conference. There's like 3 people now at the podium who do not look like officials, and they are just all hanging around with their phones. So I don't know if that information about the shooter being found dead is starting to make its way around the media, but they're all sort of huddling around looking at phones. They all look, yeah, there's all these people huddling around looking at their mobile phones very sort of urgently. So maybe that information has now leaked out. Wonder how long he's been deceased. Maybe since the weekend. Maybe since they were looking for him, maybe. Authorities believe Brown shooting suspect may be inside a specific storage unit in Salem. Authorities believe the suspect in the Brown University shooting may be inside a specific storage unit in Salem. So there you go. Maybe that's what will get confirmed. All right. Media still hasn't come out. I mean, police still have not come out. New York Times is reporting he is dead too. That's probably where these people are for the press conference. They're too busy leaking it out to other people. They're like, wait, wait, wait. I have to tell the New York Times before we go and tell the general public. I have to contact Sky News in the UK and let them know the shooter is dead. And then I will address the public. I think it's Salem, New Hampshire, right? Not Pennsylvania. Dribbling out the news. That's a good way of putting it. Dribbling. Um, that's a good way of putting it. Let's see. Yeah, interesting. Couple of news sources are not reporting it as verbatim. They're just saying they believe, according to sources, that type of thing. So I'm guessing if you're getting that information just before a press conference, then it's probably true. Geez, they really don't want to come out for this press conference, do they? Oh, Massachusetts? Okay. See, Ping doesn't know the state. I get confused in that area of America. There's far too many tiny little states up there. Betsy said the whole investigation has been so odd. It has been a little bit. It's definitely been like the fact that it took days and days to get any kind of better video. And the first one we got was very grainy. Looks like it was recorded with a cell phone on a computer screen, and the took like 2 days to get actual good video of the, suspect. Kim said it said New Hampshire. That's what I thought. But, you know, people still waiting. Far out. CNN's not, calling the guy dead, though. CNN's update is not running with the that they've found him dead. They're not doing that update. CNN says just that they believe he's inside the storage locker, but they have not said that they believe he is dead. Here, let me check the other one. Let me check NBC, what they have to say. Yeah, then they don't have the update either. NBC on their national website are not giving that. They're saying officials expected to give an update soon in around 20 minutes. So still about 5 minutes away if you go by their timing. 5 minutes until they reckon that's going to get underway. The activity is connected to ongoing search. Yeah, so NBC are not running with the headline that you guys see. JDR said he seems very happy with the way he's walking. I don't know about that. I don't know if he seems happy as such. Probably more just wanting to get away from the area. Can you be happy after committing a shooting? Maybe like that, when they say like Jupiter's delight when you kill someone, maybe something like that. Let me take you over here. I'll show you the updates on NBC. If this is such a widespread known information, NBC's not going with it. They're just talking about the press conference which is coming, but no thing here about the guy being found dead. I mean, I assume that's real information, but nothing on that one. And even on CNN, they are not running with it either, which you would think they love to be first. And I'll show you, there's the CNN one. They're not running with it either. So they just say they believe he may be in the storage unit. I don't know. All I can tell you is that when news like this happens, there's always like a little up and down. Like some people will run with it and then be proven wrong later, and then there's people who will wait and then they wait for the confirmation and then they'll post it. So we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Go Local Providence is saying breaking suspected man suspected to be Brown mass shooter is dead. That's what they're saying. So that's one of the local news. They are running with that information. Yeah. They're saying the man who shot and killed 2 Brown University students and injured 9 others has been found dead in a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. They're saying, according to multiple law enforcement sources, a vehicle used by the man was found at the facility. His death was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So that is probably what we'll see confirmed at the press conference. Vegemite Smile says, I hope you're well. Did you do the update about the Taekwondo teacher in Parramatta sentence? I have not yet. I have been following that though, because I remember we covered it back when it happened. I covered his trial over the last few weeks out of New South Wales. It was terrible. The things you heard out of that particular trial, like the guy was delusional. So if you don't know what Vegemite Smile is talking about, there was a Taekwondo instructor in Parramatta in New South Wales who attacked a client, so a child, and his mother and the father of that child, because he thought he would steal their wealth and make them rich, like he would become rich from it. And it's because he was in so much debt, he owed a lot of money, and he had these delusional beliefs that if he committed these crimes, somehow he could live their lives because these people were successful, they had a lot of money, they lived a good life, drove fancy cars, that type of thing. And he just had this weird idea that he could slip into their life and become them. It was one of the strangest reasons to kill people I've ever heard about. It was really odd. But we can cover that after the press conference. Yeah, delusional has to be. Like the guy was nuts. But he killed a child, right? So he killed the little boy, and then he thought he was going to get money for killing the child, even though he killed the child, and you normally get money for a ransom to get someone back alive. And then he decided to attack and kill the mom. And then he decided to drive to their home in their car and kill the dad. Just an absolute nutter. Just an absolute nutter, that guy. Taekwondo guy. I'll tell you about it in a bit. Actually, hold on. We might be able to cover it while we're waiting. If these guys are going to take another age, we may be able to cover it quickly. Although they just turned on the projector screen in the press conference. So they may be going live any minute. I might leave it until after we hear from this press conference. But yeah, he was basically sentenced to jail for life. So he's going to be going to jail for the rest of his life. And hopefully he will never see the light of day. That's one of the greatest court photos court sketches I've ever seen. Check this out. It looks like anime. Look at this. That's so awesome. Look at that court sketch. That's one of the most impressive ones I've ever seen. That's a really good one. That artist did a great job. Yeah, so we'll take you to that one after we get out of this press conference for the brown shooter update. God, they're taking forever to get to it. Yeah, it's a really good photo. Literally looks like Japanese animation. Pretty cool. Yeah, I know. Maybe like a digital sketch with a pad. Maybe they use one of those like digital artistry, things that people use, like a tablet. Stylized drawing. Yeah, it's one of the better sketches I've seen from a courtroom. Even the security at the press conference keeps looking at his watch, going, "Where are these guys? What's taking so long?" Yeah, good to see you. Hey, Kiwi. Good to have you. We're supposed to be going to a press conference. When that is, who knows? Who knows? There's a lot of people milling around, a lot of people just walking around here. I'll show you a little bit. Here, you can see it's just a room with a lot of people coming in and out that door, and we're all waiting for the podium to get underway. Here, I'll take you back out. So yeah, we're just sort of milling around. Yeah, I know. I have to find out the artist name for that one. Looks like AI. I don't know if you're allowed to use AI. There was a thing out of the Supreme Court just a couple of months ago where they were talking about not allowing AI imagery or AI to be used for any court documents or things like that. So I don't know if you would be able to as a sketch artist for the Supreme Court. I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Maybe the FBI is busy. Maybe. All right. Hey, permaculture. They've taken so long that their computer timed out and now it has like a screensaver on it. That's pretty funny. They've just taken that long. 9:33 at night in New Hampshire or Providence. Sorry, Providence, not New Hampshire. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Chris, come over to this side. Take the exits and CP. Sure. You got everybody? Great.
Well, good evening, everybody. Tonight, our Providence neighbors can finally breathe a little easier. In a minute, Colonel Perez will share the latest details on the investigation, but I want to thank the people of Providence for stepping up and coming together during an extraordinarily difficult time. I know this has been hard on all of us. Over the past 5 days, minutes have felt like hours. But the people of Providence have done what we're best at. We've leaned on one another, come together and supported one another, and showed the nation what a tight-knit community looks like. It was because of the information provided to us by neighbors and the tireless work of our Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the FBI, the ATF, and many other federal partners. The incredible prosecutorial advice and guidance that we received from the Attorney General's office. We all worked well together to be able to identify this suspect. I know we will have a lot of questions still, and we will continue to work to get those answers. But it is a great honor for me to turn this over to our Chief of Police, Colonel Oscar Perez, and I will say on behalf of the people of Providence, we owe him and every member of the Providence Police Department the deepest debt of gratitude. Colonel.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Well, first and foremost, I want to offer my deepest condolences to the families, the victims. It was for them that this work was put together to make sure that they get the justice that they deserve and to ensure that this person was held accountable. Second thing I'll tell you is that I'm extremely proud of this department, actually the officers, the detectives, the real-time crime center, the community response team, the intelligence division, the narcotics division, the task force. This past Saturday, as you all know, December 13, Providence Police Department and Brown University Police Department responded to this horrific tragedy at Brown University 184 Hope. Our officers were there within minutes. That same day, Providence Police detectives immediately went to work. Looking for video footage to see who this individual was and who was responsible. A person of interest was identified from that video footage. The person of interest was observed down Hope Street, turning onto Waterman Street, and that was one of the first videos that we released. At the same time, every federal agency you can think of was reaching out to the Providence Police Department and responded to the capital city. Images were shared with media within hours. Persons of interest it was the same individual that has been the focus of this investigation since the beginning. All the new images that we received of this person of interest were shared with the media continuously over the past 6 days. This critical evidence was collected with the use of public assistance. As the mayor stated, I'm proud to be the chief of police of this city. I'm proud to be a product of this city for the reasons that the mayor stated. The community stepped up. It was all about groundwork, public assistance, interviews of individuals, and good old-fashioned policing. That is the type of police work that every police officer in this nation reminds themselves of, and that many do not understand. And that is critically important and often succeeds where technology alone cannot. We looked at financial records, we looked at video footages, and in the specific incident, it was actually a video that provided us with a description of a vehicle. That was corroborated through a tip that was received to the tip center. That room was packed with detectives, agents receiving calls on a daily basis. We started early and left late. Then Flock and the LPR was able to provide us with this description of this vehicle. That vehicle was picked up by Flock, which led us to a car rental place in Massachusetts. Through that, the agents and their work as well were able to get us footage of this individual, as well as a copy of the agreement, which provided his real name. The video of that subject matched the description of that person of interest that this police department was desperate to put handcuffs on. That individual was identified as Claudio Neves Valenti, date of birth, and he was a 48-year-old man. He was a Brown student, He was a Portuguese national, and his last known address was in Miami, Florida. And I will tell you that he took his own life tonight. We have members of the Providence Police Department up in Salem, New Hampshire. And we also have the BCI unit. Obviously, the FBI and their evidence recovery unit is up there. So the process is being conducted as we speak. And it goes without saying that I would like to personally thank the efforts again of the Providence Police Department, the Rhode Island State Police, the Rhode Island Attorney General, the FBI, the ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshals, IRS, DEA, Secret Service, and NCIS. There is no way that we could have done this by ourselves. In this nation, when horrific incidents like this happen, law enforcement steps up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. General Romano?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. You know, I would describe the emotions on the investigative team, including our prosecutors and the agents, detectives from both state police, Providence, as mixed. You know, there is a sense of completeness in terms of the investigation, an investigation that's, if not the hardest, among the handful of hardest investigations that I've ever been involved with. And the sense that we owed those 2 dead Brown students and the 9 injured Brown students and the students who were in that auditorium that weren't injured, and the Brown community and the Providence community results. The teams worked really hard. I think I mentioned that to you almost every night that we met with you. I wish they were all up here with us. That we wouldn't fit here, but it was remarkable to see the cooperation between the FBI agents, the ATF agents, the HSI agents, the Providence police detectives, the state police detectives, our prosecutors. And I will say that everybody brought a certain expertise to the table, but it is nevertheless a sad moment when you think about those young people who were hurt, injured, or worse, or 2 of them are now deceased. You know, to me, this was always going to be an investigation where something was going to break it open. We were going to pull threads. We were going to gather evidence that would lead us in a particular direction. And I will say that if we were with you less than, well, I guess now more than 24 hours ago, we had that picture of that second individual. And I would say within an hour, no more than 2, I think it was under an hour, that person came forward to 2 Providence police officers over on the east side and said he had information, that he was that person, and he had information that could help this case. And I remember last night watching his interview, and he blew this case right open. He blew it open. And that's how these cases sometimes go. You can feel like you're not making a lot of progress. You can feel like you're chasing leads and they don't work out. But the team keeps going because, you know, those of us with experience know that you're going to pull a lot of threads, and it's not always the first one that's going to get you where you need to go. But when you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting.
All right, I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to listen to them prattle on for the next hour and a half talking about stuff that doesn't matter. Appreciate their hard work. I'm sure everyone does to be able to round this up. I think an explanation does need to be sort of given for what happened over the weekend with the first guy and how his picture got circulated all over the internet within hours. That sort of does need to be looked at. But it's a result. The people of the area, the university can sort of relax now a little bit, and especially leading into the holidays. But I think we should not take our mind off that of the victims here. There's people here that their entire crime was that they went to a university. That was literally their entire thing. They went to a uni to get an education, and then they were killed. It's crazy, really is. You know, Australia just had their own giant shooting that happened on Sunday, hours after this one, and it seems like this has been one of the worst sort of few days, week leading up into the holiday period that I can remember for a while. The last one I remember is when we had that thing in Nashville. We had that van in Nashville that blew up. Do you guys remember that? And it was playing like a message over and over again. It was like, you know, counting down and saying something, and then it blew up. That happened a number of years ago too, and I remember that being around the holiday season as well. But this one, with the amount of shootings that have happened in the last week, it has been mental. It really has. You might be like, well, Ping, that's what you do. You talk about true crime. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's sort of like yes, but would prefer that we didn't have to have these type of events. You know, so many people hurt, huge areas disrupted, people not going home for the holidays. It's a pretty dull, dark point. Montana said it's been an ugly week, definitely. Um, Portuguese national. No, I don't think anyone deleted your answer. December 25th, 2020 van in Nashville. That was crazy to me. That story, I remember we covered it. Did we cover it on this channel? We may have covered it on this channel. We may have covered it when I used to be on Web Sleuths. Maybe that's when I did it. But I do know that that was such a massive story at the time. What else do they have? Yeah, they said here he is 48 years old, was a student at Brown, and they're saying that he could have been dead for a period of time. How long? Don't know, but they're saying he took his life tonight. But another source quotes that it could have been a period of time. So maybe he knew they were onto him and he did it. Don't know. Um, let's check out here. Is that his name? Yeah. Here, I'm gonna put his name in the chat. This is his full name, 48 years old. And I don't know if we'll ever get a reason as to why this person felt the need to do this and kill people at his university. Don't know. I don't know why you would feel the need to do that. Here, let me see what else we can find about him. Can we find anything else about him? What is this? No, we don't want that. Claudia Vante. Structural engineer? I don't think that's him. I was trying to see if we could find some better information about him, but I don't see anything here. Let's have a look. I think that's quite a popular first name and last name. Hey, good to see you. All right, see you, Peachy. Good night, my friend. She's not here right now. Susan, hey Susan. Susan says the professor at MIT was from Spain, I believe. Could be a connection. Maybe they knew each other. Montana says, what exactly was he studying at Brown? Let's see if we can find out. Not killing people, I suggest. That's probably not what it is. Why is it picking up? It's picking up this very specific journal. Hold on. What is this? And is he quoted in it? I don't know. It's picking up a very specific radiology thing, and I don't know why. or what the connection to his name is. I'm just having a look. Yeah, I'm not sure. It picked up a radiology paper, something about it's not funny, but it picked up something about mammograms and about breast cancer screening. But I don't know why that is picking up in his particular name. I'm not sure. But when you search his name, that sort of pops up in the search results. Something about radiology. Don't know if that's what he was studying, but when you search his name, it does come up with that paper. Criminology, maybe? You mean like we've already had one of those. That guy killed 4 people in a house. We already had one of those people. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Well, that's the update. I don't really want to dwell on it. Otherwise, they're just going to prattle on. Yeah, feds confirmed death of Brown University and MIT professor shooter. They said tonight they could confirm the death of the Brown University and MIT professor shooter, adding there's no longer a threat to the public. And apparently, there's another press briefing. The United States Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Leah B. Foley, the FBI, and the ATF will hold a briefing at 10:30 in about 40 minutes and are expected to provide additional details. So we've got a second press conference in 40 minutes. I think Trish is going to be on. I'll see if they want to do it. Hold on. Hey, I'll just let me message them. Hold on. Hey, there is a 10:30 for the FBI, ATF. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to get them to see if they want to do it. Yeah, I'll see what they say. Otherwise, we may stay on and cover the press conference for the FBI and the feds. I'll just see what they have to say. If they want to do it, then I'll let them do it. But otherwise, we can stay on and we can do the second press conference. All right, we should get an answer in a minute. Give me a sec. Wait, they're saying, they're saying he did both. Yeah, that's what they're saying. Yeah, that's the quote I read out is what they're reporting. Yep. They're saying 2 guns were found at the scene where officials discovered the body of the suspect at the Brown University. No. Yeah, sorry. They think I'm talking about the press conference that's on now, but there's another press conference on in 40 minutes. Let's see. Yeah, they were saying in the thing I was just reading that they believe he is responsible for both of the events. So there you go. They're just disease. Yep. Yep, I can confirm that. That's exactly what I put up. MIT and Brown shooting. They believe it's the same person. So, all right. I'm still waiting for a confirmation on what they want to do, whether they want to take the press conference or we will do it. I mean, I don't mind staying on and hanging out with you guys. I mean, I got nothing to do this afternoon except for hang out with all of you people. I don't know. We'll see what they say. But yeah, so they must have. I think we'll find out in the second press conference what that connection is, maybe between Brown and MIT, and like why did that MIT professor need to die? But they said they did have a link earlier today. They said they had discovered a link between the 2 cases. So we'll have to see. Okay. Okay. All right, Trish doesn't want to do the press conference on her channel. They're doing something completely different. So if you guys want to stay here and keep following the Brown and MIT investigation, um, stay here. We'll do that. If you want to go and what are they doing tonight? Let's have a look. Oh, come on, you absolute stupid thing. They're doing John Bonet and Nick Reiner update and the Welsh sentencing. So if you want to follow along with that, head to WebSource in about half an hour. If you want to keep up and watch the second press conference at 10:30, then you can stay here. We'll also cover the Taekwondo murder in Parramatta and the sentencing for that after we get done with press conference. Tango Cord said, I think she's doing John Benet Ramsey. Yeah, I think so. So there's a lot of people that watch my channel that don't like John Benet, and I appreciate it. Kelly said, I'll hang out here with you. I'll catch them on the replay later. I appreciate it. It's very kind. All right. Rip Meathead. Yeah. Give me a sec. I just want to see if we can find out. ATF. Let me see if we can like load up and get sort of ready for this other press conference. Let's go here. I'm going to switch you to another page just for a sec so that I can go here. All right. We're probably going to, I've got another stream loaded for that other press conference. Rip Rainers. Yeah. Pretty horrible. Thanks, Lynn. I appreciate it. Good to see you, my friend. Danny said, did you see the Rainer's son in court in the turtle suit? I did. Now, someone asked a question about that last night saying, do they only give that to people who display behavior or emotions that would cause them to do that? No, it's oftentimes mandatory for people who are either first time in custody, charged with a capital offense, or expected to stay in prison for a long time. And they do that, it's sort of to wait until their mind can sort of account for the fact that they're not getting out of prison anytime soon or if ever. And it's a way of like onboarding them into the prison system. And they do it so that, yeah, well, basically so they don't die. But it's normally for anyone if you're in any of those categories, and it can be for high risk people as well. Like if you displayed these type of behaviors in the past or they have a record of it, you can also be put in a turtle suit as well. But it's normally anyone for a capital offense, anyone who's looking at spending like 1 billion years in prison, you will get it. Okay. All right. Apples to apples? I don't know. Rachel said, want to learn more about how they are connected. Hopefully, we'll find out at this secondary press conference. That's what I'm hoping, because we're expected to hear from the federal level, and they will most likely know. I'm just trying to see if there was a better update here. Oh, geez, guys, hold on. All right, sorry about that. We had a delivery, and they like to ring my intercom and make it very, very loud. Saying here a judge signed an arrest warrant today accusing the suspect of interstate murder, and they're saying the Rhode Island Attorney General told reporters tonight. They said there won't be a prosecution now because the defendant is dead. Sorry, guys, that is not for us. Why are they doing that? Okay, I'm just going to leave that there. Yeah. Okay. They switched to a different coverage. You'll hang out here. I appreciate it. So hopefully we'll get that secondary press conference up and running at 10:30. So in about half an hour. Let's wait. Let's wait and see. I just want to see if we get a better update on this. No. Yeah. So we're just gonna have to wait that little bit of time. Montana said Alan Jackson is spreading himself pretty thin. So many clients. Does he sleep? I don't think he sleeps. I think he's a robot. I think that might be what is happening. What are they saying here? Okay. Yep. So the source I have is just they're waiting for that second press conference now. That will pop up when we get it. All right. Let me get out of this. Let's see if we can find anything else on Mr. Claudio. And yeah, just a Portuguese national. They're saying he resided in Miami, Florida at one point too. Law enforcement tracked him via the rental car he was using. That is very interesting. Um, yeah, when you search it, let's take out his middle names and just search his first and last name. Nothing really new, just that the things we heard in the press conference really. Let me go here. Yeah, they did that. He was discovered at the storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. They're saying he was a Brown student and a Portuguese national who was last known to live in Miami. They said authorities tracked the man through surveillance video that led to a car rental agency in Massachusetts. Other than that, they haven't released much. They said Monday that the attack was definitely targeted, but did not elaborate on why. Brown's campus and part of its surrounding neighborhood were ordered to shelter in place. That's what happened earlier. They say additional video images and maps were released this week showing the man, who police now believe to be connected to the shooting, walking the area near the campus hours before and after the shooting. And they're saying here, yeah, just what we already know about the shooting. All right. Let me check my source here, whether they're gonna. What's this? No, that is about a different press conference. They're playing something about a town. What is it? DTE gets approval to power Saline Township Data Center, or Saline. There you go. Whatever that means, if you're in that area. Was he a sovereign citizen? I don't. Why would he be a sovereign citizen? You have to tell me why. Um, can be a digital pad. Permaculture said definitely AI, no brush or pencil marks. Well, when they use the AI, when they use the AI, when they use the digital artistry pads, it looks like a tablet, but it's got a different surface on it, normally connected to a screen or an iPad or something like that, and they can use it like they're drawing on paper, but it's done digitally. So there would be no brush strokes and stuff like that. All right. All right. While we're waiting on the second story, second press conference to get underway, I don't want to just sit here and repeat information over and over and over because that's boring as f. But I do want to talk to you about what happened in Parramatta because that is a story we covered a while ago. Yeah. One of the craziest murder cases I think I've ever covered. and it just happens to be Australian again. Let's see. I'll take you out to what happened during the trial, then I'll take you to sentencing.
Mind of a Taekwondo instructor who murdered a young student at his North Parramatta studio, as well as a husband and wife. Kwang Yu was living a fantasy life, lying about his wealth, job and social status. A court hearing, he began planning the killings weeks earlier to steal the couple's money.
He was known as Master Lion, but Kwang Yu was a master of deception and misery, hanging his head in court and refusing to look at loved ones of his 3 victims, Stephen Cho, his wife Min, and a 7-year-old boy brutally murdered in February last year. Family friend Su Hong, today wearing Min's favourite flower, delivering a message to the serial killer from the woman's parents in Korea. Even now, we can still hear the screams echoing in our ears as their lives were wrongfully taken. We will spend the rest of our lives in tears and pain, waiting for death. And from Min's brother, I never ever told her how much I loved her. Yu was a martial arts instructor, but falsely told others he was a professor and an Olympian who was being gifted a BMW. He stole that car from Min Cho, crushing the 41-year-old with a pole at his North Parramatta studio before teaching a class and then strangling a young student. The killer later drove to Baulkham Hills and stabbed Stephen Cho to death. For the first time, the court's been given an insight into why a previously hard-working family man could take the lives of 3 innocent people. It was jealousy and envy of Stephen and Min Cho's wealth and success. Yu pleaded guilty to 3 counts of murder, writing a letter to the judge. Not a day goes by that I don't remember what I've done. I wish I could turn back time so this didn't happen. The Crown is calling for the 51-year-old to be sentenced to life in prison. Tiffany Genders, 9 News.
Yeah, a real nasty piece of work. And that letter at the end, it doesn't say to me someone who is remorseful. I don't think that's remorse at all. That's one of those people who just thinks about themselves. So he only cares that he was caught. He only cares that he's now on trial, bringing shame to it, like his family and things like that. I don't think it's got anything to do with him actually feeling bad about what happened. He is a real nasty piece of work and deserves everything he got. Really does. Sentenced to life in prison. The judge sided with the prosecution, said he was a very dangerous individual, which I agree he is. And here, get away. They're saying here, Kwang strangled a 41-year-old mother before teaching a class and then strangling the young boy at his studio in North Parramatta in Western Sydney in February of 2024. He took the woman's Apple Watch and drove her BMW to the family home in Baulkham Hills, where he fatally stabbed the 39-year-old father. The Taekwondo teacher, formerly known as Master Lion, should be called Master Murderer, sat with his hands bowed in the New South Wales Supreme Court on Tuesday as he was given a life sentence for his crimes. Good work. They're saying here, the 51-year-old South Korean did not look at his victim's family or other supporters as they sobbed in court's public gallery after the extreme sentence was handed down. Their friends told reporters outside court that they were happy with the result. Justice Ian Harrison found the 3 murders were objectively very serious, motivated by financial struggling Yu becoming jealous of the family's success. He says these killings were horrific and violent acts, senselessly cruel and cynical, perpetrated without a trace of human compassion. A life sentence sent a message to the community that murdering people for effectively no reason at all would not be tolerated. They're saying he set no parole date, meaning you will die in prison. Good. Sends a strong message to the world or Sydney that if you kill people because you are jealous of them, jealous of their success, then you will be taken from society and never ever allowed back. He is a nasty piece of work, and he will die in jail. He'll never, ever be in public ever again. You know, you think about what he did. He killed the mum, right? Then he taught the boy a class, and then he basically lied to the child, then killed him. It's just, you know, for no reason. They're saying he murdered the vulnerable boy was an egregious breach of trust after he and his mother had been lulled into a false sense of security, unaware of the terrible fate that awaited them. They're saying while the crimes were planned, with you surveilling the family's home beforehand, he made no attempt to conceal these crimes from CCTV cameras within the Taekwondo studio or to try to conceal the bodies. And they're saying here, at the sentencing hearing in November, the judge heard that you lied about meeting Gina Reinhart, qualifying for the 2000 Olympics, owning a Lamborghini, and living in Sydney's wealthy eastern suburbs. They're saying to impress his own wife, he would send emails to himself pretending to be important people. On Tuesday, Harrison noted that in speaking to a psychologist, uh, the defendant said the lies became bigger and bigger as his wife and students asked more questions. However, he still failed to reach the success that he desired. And they say here, you've been living your life as a good person for long enough. You can be a bad person and give your family whatever they want. That is apparently what he said to a psychologist. The judge noted you had been burdened since childhood with unrealistic expectations from his parents and culture about the level of success he needed to achieve. At the time of his arrest, he owed tens of thousands of dollars in debt and was behind on rent. And they're saying, yeah, like, I understand the pressures of wanting to do well in life, but what would murdering one of your clients do to you? What will he do now? He's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. How is that success? How is that achieving your dreams? You have basically thrown all those things away for an impulsive act. So I struggle with his reasoning that this is because he couldn't achieve in life, because you had to have known by killing these people, you were nullifying any shot you ever had of ever achieving anything. So his, you know, the way he thinks is bizarre. He's very broken, a very broken guy. Yeah, evil. Let Chuck Norris into his cell. Yeah, I don't think Master Lion would be, you know, it should be Master Liar instead of lion, because he ain't no lion, but he is a bit of a liar, according to the evidence. So Master Liar will go to jail for the rest of his life. Here he is. You guys want to see a photo of Master Liar? Here he is. There you go. Master Liar. Doing a whole lot of nothing. Oh, he looks very successful. His stance proves to us all how successful he is. Obviously, that's how he shook Gina Reinhart's hand with his foot. I think, you know, that's what he's trying to demonstrate here. Yeah, so I'm glad that one is over. I remember when that story broke, I think we covered it at the time, that there was something going on in Parramatta at a Taekwondo studio. Actually, we might be able to find the original reporting. Gonna have to keep. I'm trying to keep an eye on the time because we have to be careful of what the time is. Is it this one? Hmm. All right. Sorry, I'm just keeping an eye on our live stream for the other press conference. All right. I'm trying to see if we can go back to when the crime happened in 2024. Let's see if we can do that. No, I don't seem to be able to get the coverage from way, way back. No, I don't know what happened to all the photos of the Taekwondo studio. Ah, here. Did find one. This is where it took place. Lions Taekwondo Martial Arts Academy. Obviously, you know, it should say on the top there, only for successful people or if you're rich, because that's all he seemed to care about. Like that movie Parasite, a little bit, right? You think of Bruce Lee, I think Bruce Lee was a much more successful and courageous person than Master Liar. Sean said, I remember because I worked opposite at one stage, lived 300 meters away, and ate at the Tollgate Hotel across the road. I actually can't picture where this is in Parramatta, to be honest. Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, I lived in Parramatta my entire life, and I'm not sure of where that is. Let me just. Looks like they're still running that original press conference. All right. Geez, they've been talking for like 50 minutes. All right. Yeah, all right. We're gonna have to wait. ATM. All right. I don't see it. I don't see anyone even have it up and ready yet. Up and ready yet. You can make a joke out of that. 15 minutes ago, the Department of Justice released a statement here saying U.S. Attorney's Office, FBI, and ATF announced death of Brown University and MIT professor shooter. That's all they said, really? The shooter is deceased. There is no longer a threat to the public. The United States Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, yeah, they're holding a press conference at UM Macaulay College in Boston. Okay, at 10:30. So we still got 20 minutes to go. All right. So yeah, they are doing that press conference. Let's go back. Trying to find out if we're going to run a second, if everyone's running a second, like a second link, or they're going to jump to the other one. I think they might jump to the other one, so I'm just going to keep an eye on it. Yeah, the other one's still going. Maybe Ronaldo is up at the mic. I don't know about that. So where is this one? At the U.S. Moakley Courthouse. Okay. Let me see. Massachusetts FBI. All right. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have to keep an eye on the one stream we have, and they're probably just gonna switch it. So that's what we'll do. All right. 10 minutes. 10 minutes or so. Guys, hold on a sec. All right, there we go. Hey guys, good to see you. Hey Penguin, good to have you. Betsy said that that reporter was yelling at those guys. Yes. Let's see, what are they saying? Hold on, I'll take you back to the other one for a minute.
People of New England to track this individual down, while at the same time, we've got this sort of passive aggressive criticism of individuals who are being actively asked to engage via social media who are wildly spreading rumors, some of which couldn't have possibly emanated anywhere than law enforcement. And I do have a follow-up. So would anyone like to respond to that? I mean, it's kind of condescending to a lot of people. I know, Governor, if you're confused, that's not uncommon, but the.
All right, that's uncalled for.
the
All
credit
right,
side-
we're moving on. Current, no,
The person
current.
who came forward with the case-breaking tip, was that information originally posted online? Or was that person encouraged to come forward based on what people online?
Correct. There was a tip that was placed online, and obviously we were doing our due diligence to find out who that tipster was. And then we were able to identify this person who we wanted to speak with. And then we learned that that person was actually the same person that put the tip on that up that you're speaking about.
Brian,
The
sorry?
images. That person live in the area.
It was the same person that we brought into the police station to speak with.
The images
Brian.
that you showed at the beginning, where you can see Mr. Valente's face, where were those images taken from?
They were taken from the car rental business place that we learned
So
about.
none of them were at Brown.
No.
President Paxton, if you could, the situation is described that you had the suspected gunman and this other person had an encounter in the engineering building hours before the shooting. I had been told by an employee that there had been concerns raised at Brown previously about people getting in the building. Have you heard those, and was anything done to address those concerns about people getting into the building?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think we're going to have to look back and say, you know, we don't know how this person got in. We don't know when they came in. We do know that the building was unlocked that day for exams, and that's something we're going to have to
Had you
look
heard
into.
concerns from staff members in the past
I
about
have
security at the
not
building?
personally heard concerns, but yeah.
Dan.
President Paxton, Dan Janney from NBC 10. I want to go back to the question I asked you Saturday night when I first arrived on the scene. There were no cameras in this building. And law enforcement, some that are standing up behind you, have said if Brown had cameras in that part of the building, we would have gotten this guy. And it may have stopped this swirling action. Can you answer that question for me?
Well, I don't think we have said the locations of cameras at Brown.
But there's no cameras in that building because why would they take it from a rental car agency?
We have 1,200 cameras at Brown.
But not in that building.
We have some in that building. It's a large complex. And I think what you would see is the video evidence in this case, from my perspective, I'm not a law enforcement agent, has been incredibly helpful.
I feel like they've let the press conference go for too long, and they're like, the reporters are now getting bored, and they're starting to get real bitchy, because like all the questions now are all like very targeted and sort of angry. They're always like, well, why didn't you do this? And what happens now? And it's like all the softball questions are all gone, and now they're doing all like, you know, the pointed questions. We're waiting on the digital event to begin for the ATF. It's the U.S. Attorney, ATF, and FBI. That's what we're waiting for now. But they are calling him the Brown MIT shooter now. That is sort of the name of what they're going with their titling. So they are definitely considering him the accused for both. Definitely has a list control of the thing. Yeah, the guy who's doing the sign language, he's doing a great job. All of the press conferences were like that. Yeah, they're a bit pointed, aren't they? A bit cranky pants, all of them. But I guess they want answers as to how this won't happen again. So yeah, we're still waiting on that U.S. Attorney, ATF, and FBI press conference out of Boston this evening. Waiting to see when that might actually go ahead. Right, just trying to see if it has loaded yet. Still says we're waiting for the event to begin, so no connection up there as of yet. Let's go here. Yeah, this one's still going too.
Had we needed it, would not only have been credible, it would have been persuasive. He was as outstanding a witness.
Yeah, still going on this one. I'm going to change the channel. Hold on. I'm just going to take you to this one for a sec. ATF is no nonsense. Well, we know what happened in Waco. We know what happened in Waco. Let's see. Yeah, it's still saying that they are delayed. They're supposed to get going in 4 minutes time. We'll have to wait and see. But it is the U.S. Attorney for the District of Massachusetts, Leah B. Foley, and the FBI and ATF. I think that one will be more illuminating. They may give more details at the federal one. Permaculture says, now I feel bitchy about AI digital enhanced images. I have to go. Have a great weekend. All right. Have a great weekend, Permaculture. It's almost 5 p.m. in New Zealand. Take no prisoners. Let's not take any prisoners. I didn't know if we got an explanation of why NCIS were involved. Your best friend was shot in Waco? What side was he on, James? What side? Let's see. Still waiting to begin. I think they're going to run late. Probably because this other press conference has not wrapped up. That is probably why the other one is not getting underway, I would think. Let's go. Okay. I just want to see if they are running a second. Everyone's like, let us go. Let us out of here. Let's see. I think they're just going to switch coverage. Yes, there is a second press conference. I can see it now. So, should get underway shortly. As soon as we have it, I will bring it. Yeah. I don't know what else to tell you. We can go through and look at some of the they released some more video here if we go here. Now, these were the images they released a while ago. Let me put them up on your screen. So there you go. Rhode Island Attorney General, and there's the very unassuming. He's not the guy you would think that we would always be looking for in a shooting, right? But I guess that just goes to show it's not always the boogeyman type person or look of a person. 48 years old, and decided this is what they wanted to do with the rest of their life was go and shoot someone. Go and take out people at a university and a professor. I'm guessing we'll find out that connection soon enough. They're still going on that other press conference. The other one has not begun either. It's still circling, telling us waiting for event to begin. So when it gets underway, I will bring it to you. All right. I would have thought they were going to run two at the same time, but it doesn't seem like they are. Montana said, "Is this some kind of professional jealousy?" Could be. Maybe they flunked them in a class. Maybe they stopped them from getting their degree or getting into a postgrad study or something, and they felt, soured by it. So he went and hunted down the professor who stopped his professional career or something. I mean, people get really, really upset if they fail their schooling, and maybe it was something like that. Maybe it was something to do with like their professional advancement. Not that I think we've heard anything about whether he's got any family as such, but I mean, we've all got some sort of family, right? So there'll be. Here. It is believed that the Brown University shooting suspect attended the same Portuguese university as the MIT professor who was found shot at his Massachusetts home. The FBI? That means their FBI press conference is underway? Good work, Ping. No, I don't know what's going on. It's saying that they're giving out press conferences, but it's saying waiting for event to begin. Let me check one other place. Okay, there is a secondary press conference. They're waiting for it to get underway. So why the FBI is giving out information before the press conference again, I don't know, but there is a second press conference in the bottom of the screen. So Andrew says, you think Ivy Leaguers would be better criminals? Wow, you'd think so, but what have we learned about schooling? It's not always about who is smart. Sometimes it's about who can, you know, do the problem solving better than other people. But you would think that would also make them a better criminal too, but apparently not. All right, they're still fighting over the microphone at the original press conference, and the one in the courthouse is very barren still. Very barren, only a handful of reporters. And it's already late. It's already late by about a minute. So we could be waiting a long time. The AG will argue forever with anyone. Apparently, this press conference is ridiculous how long it's gone. It's I feel like now they're just trying to defend themselves.
For those of us who've been in law enforcement for a long time, why did we have to run that lead to ground? Here's why. When the FBI confronted him, initially, he was not cooperative. When they entered the room to secure it, there were guns in the room. One of them had a laser sight. The witnesses had told us there was a laser sight used in the course of the attack. Okay, we had to run that to ground. We couldn't just not run that to ground. That was a very promising lead. But that's why you don't get over your skis about, and word choice is important. So while we had to test those ballistics and test the DNA off those guns, and that DNA ruled this guy out, okay? But we had to run that lead to ground. But while we're running that lead to ground over the course of Sunday, for the most part, my memory's correct, we were working other leads, which eventually led us through a recreation by the great work of the team, including the marshals, by the way, that are up here. Movements, image of our cooperating witness comes in, and you've heard the rest. So, you know, this is the way these investigations work. You don't chase one and stop. We have chased more than one lead over the course of the last 4 to 5 days. There was one lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. So that's at least in my mind 5 different leads that one worked out, 4 didn't. But you're running them all down at the same time. So I can't offer any comfort in that regard. But I don't believe that we would have found this person any sooner, given the evidence that was available to us.
The way back.
Can you say why it took so long to get the tipster's tip? It looks like he posted on Reddit on Monday and then said on Reddit that he told the FBI. Was it lost in the FBI's tip?
We received the tip about that post and immediately acted on it. And so that's exactly what occurred. As soon as the tip came in, we had a tip center upstairs that was staffed, as I mentioned earlier, by detectives and agents. They were going through hundreds of tips that were coming in, hundreds. We were vetting them through, ruling them out, just like the general stated. We were making sure that whatever came in, we checked it to its entire to ensure that we weren't missing anything. And so when we got to that tip, obviously, it led us to that person I wanted to speak with, and I told you the rest earlier. So.
Yeah, and I just want to complete that too, because this is important. This person had to come forward. That's why we put the picture out.
This is like the never-ending story. This press conference has just been going on forever. I think that secondary press conference is about to get underway. You can see all the people coming out here now. So I'm hoping that one's about to get started, so we can go to that one in a minute. It looks like there are people coming to the staging area. This one is like the never-ending story. I don't know why they keep taking questions. It's like they don't have homes to get to at 11 o'clock at night. They're just answering the same thing over and over again about leads and had to run them to ground. Yeah, it's like at some point you have to tell the press, no more questions. It's like the crazy. I think the answers have taken longer than the initial information that they provided during the press conference for this one. Hopefully that second one's about to get underway. Looks like there are people milling about, or sort of milling about near the staging area. So hopefully that means that one's about to get underway, so we can hurry up and get to that second press conference. Defensive BS. It is a little defensive, and he's back. I know he can't stay away from the microphone, can he? He seems to anytime he's like, "Can I just finish that?" He's almost like Kanye with the mic. He's like, "I'm gonna let you finish." He just wants to jump in and always talk over people and get like his 2 cents into the conversation. I'm hoping we're going to get this other link working so we can go to the. It's still not connecting. Hopefully we'll get to that other one in a minute. Gaylor said this guy likes the sound of his own voice, apparently. I feel bad for the sign language guy. His hands are going to be sore tomorrow from all like the hyper speed signing that he's doing. Come on, ATF and FBI. Hurry up. I want to go to them. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, let's see what we'll tune back in for a second.
Very recently. And I think going forward, as we want to learn more, we will cooperate with the investigation to give them the information they need.
Go ahead, in the white shirt.
Hi, Brittany, WCBB. This question is for Colonel Perez. You mentioned that Claudio was the primary suspect, primary focus from the beginning. If that's the case, can you elaborate more on why there was someone else detained initially, and the lead that led you to that person to being detained initially, if Claudio was the primary focus from the beginning?
Yeah, so.
And I have a follow-up.
Sure, Brittany. Great question. So we have received a tip about that first person. We have received a tip about him wanting to get a permit to carry a firearm. And that led us to also learn that he was a person who potentially could be, it was just where he was denied and then he went to another department and the descriptions led us there. So we had it vetted through. Obviously, the FBI responded, followed through that whole tip.
You're watching a live news conference out of Providence. The suspected Brown University killer and killer of a professor at MIT is dead. Police say he was 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente, a former physics student at Brown University. He was of Portuguese descent.
So we've been hearing about the investigation around Brown. They say this was obviously tied to the MIT murder. We're going to go to Boston now. The U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts is holding a press conference with that angle of the investigation. All right, so we're working to get audio there. Why don't, in the meantime, while we work to get audio there, just recap where we are, because there have been a lot of huge developments this evening.
I'm just going to pause that until I get that stream sorted out so we can go to that live stream. It's funny, the other one that I had lined up for this press conference isn't working, or it's trying to connect, and it is not doing so. It keeps acting like it wants to. It says it is live, but they have not gone live. All right, here we go. Ah. Good work, Ping.
Like now. All right, so. Thank you. You're welcome. Great. Thank you.
All right, it does not seem that they're ready to start that news conference up in Boston. So again, the suspected Brown University killer and killer of a professor.
All right, so we're waiting again. Let me take you to I'll just put you on this holding page so we don't get in trouble. It seems like everyone's got their no one's got their ducks in a row tonight. Everyone's a little disjointed, it seems. So we may be waiting for a few more minutes. Yeah, let me get this on the. Yeah, I've got it in my background view. So should it go live, we will be able to go straight to it. So it seems no one is organized or prepared tonight. Probably because of the last minute nature of these events. So we're going to be waiting for another 5-10 minutes, apparently. Police Squad movie skit with all those mics. There was a lot of microphone. Hey, Emily Narb, how are you? Thank goodness for the subtitles. I always leave the subtitles on for people that if you can't hear for whatever reason, I always leave them on for people. Yeah, still no update or what they're. I didn't catch what they were waiting on in that tiny little bit when that person came out. Let's see. Yeah, so yeah, I always leave them on because we have people who are hard of hearing. And I've had people ask before, can you leave the subtitles on so I can hear or read? So I do always leave them on for people. All right, let's see if we got any other updates here. Oh, this is interesting. Out of New South Wales, while we're waiting for that press conference to go live, out of New South Wales with the shooting that happened in Bondi over the weekend, there has been some pretty drastic updates here. Pro-Palestinian protests unleashing forces in our community that are not being contained, according to the New South Wales Premier. And he's saying here that they may be banning any of these protests. He says, I mean, in my view about these protests, that it is unleashing forces in our community that are not being contained. When you see people marching and showing violent, bloody images of death and destruction, it's unleashing something in our community that the organizers of the protest can't contain. The truth of the matter is we can't risk another mass demonstration on that scale in New South Wales. The implications can be seen, in my view, on Sunday, not just on Sunday. The anti-Jewish, anti-Semiticism, and anti-Semitic graffiti and arson attacks in our community over the last 2 years. So, did they just go back to the other press conference? All right, we're still waiting for the ATF one. So that's an interesting statement from the Premier of New South Wales about the Bondi terrorist attack and what they plan to do about it. What else are they saying here? Yep. Minns announces broad new laws to ban protests, claiming marches unleash forces that are not being contained in our community. So it sounds like they're going to ban pro-Palestinian protests within New South Wales, Australia. So if you're in New South Wales, Australia, you will not, like, none of those big protests will happen anymore. They will not be given an approval to take place in New South Wales. So that is breaking news from the Premier. Montana said, don't think they'd go on so long if the fellow had not taken himself out. No arrest or trial to worry about. Possibly. That might be why. And that second press conference still not underway either. Let's see. I want to go to my updates here. So apparently he's a former PhD student. Claudio Valente is a former PhD student. I wonder if that's what his argument with the professor is about, not obtaining his PhD. I mean, have you ever seen PhD candidate students? They are very wound tight, wanting to get their PhD. And if they fail, that's, crazy. It's not a good thing. I wonder if it had anything to do with that. I did say before, I wondered if it had anything to do with like professional advancement or something like that. Maybe he failed and that professor had something to do with it. Yeah, they said here that according to the university professor, Christina Paxton said it's likely he took classes inside of that building when he attended the school. So where he opened fire is somewhere he actually went to school and took classes. What else are they saying down here? They're saying that he had 2 firearms on him at the time of his death. He was found dead with a satchel with 2 firearms and evidence in the car that matches exactly what they saw in Providence. So they're saying that goes to the validity that it's him. Let's see, what else they say. Trying to find more about the PhD association. Yeah, so I'm just trying to find out why. It doesn't say exactly what that connection might be. Authorities now say the unidentified suspect employed a series of countermeasures to avoid being tracked beyond swapping the license plate, as he apparently planned to avoid surveillance cameras and facial recognition technology by making himself unidentified. So that's oh, here we go.
University students and an MIT professor in Brookline, Massachusetts. Federal agents found Neves Valente dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The United States Attorney's Office in Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and New Hampshire have been working throughout the day to establish probable cause to charge Neves Valente. Earlier today, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Massachusetts filed a criminal complaint under seal detailing the chain of events over the past 6 days, including information that led us to today's search of the storage locker in New Hampshire. This is what we learned during this multi-jurisdictional investigation. Neves Valente studied at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island on an F1 visa around 2000 to 2021. He eventually obtained legal permanent resident status. Previously, he attended the same academic program as the MIT professor Nuno Loureiro in Portugal between 1995 and 2000. Although Neves Valente appeared to reside in Florida, between November 26 and November 30 of this year, he rented a hotel room in Boston. On December 1st, he rented a gray Nissan Sentra with Florida plates from a car rental agency in Boston. That same day, he drove to the vicinity of Brown University, where his car was observed intermittently between December 1st and December 12th. On December 13th, Neves Valente entered an auditorium on Brown University's campus during a study session and began shooting at students, killing Ella Cook and Mohammed Aziz Umarzokov and injuring 9 others. Between December 13th and December 14th, Neves Valente returned to Massachusetts. On December 15th, he murdered MIT professor Nuno Loureiro at Loureiro's home in Brookline, Massachusetts. At some point while he was in Massachusetts, he switched the plates on the Nissan Sentra to an unregistered plate out of Maine. Immediately following Professor Loureiro's murder, Neves Valente drove to a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire, where he had rented a storage unit in November of this year. Since the December 13th shootings at Brown and the December 15th shooting in Brookline, state, local, and federal law enforcement officials have been working hand in hand around the clock to identify the shooter and prevent him from inflicting further harm. I have said this before and will continue to believe when law enforcement agencies work together, crimes are solved and the public is protected. The information we provided to you tonight would not be possible without the dedicated men and women of law enforcement in multiple districts throughout New England, including the FBI, ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshal Service, Massachusetts State Police, Rhode Island State Police, Providence Police, Brookline Police, and the Brown University Police. In addition, prosecutors for the Rhode Island Attorney General's Office and the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, and federal prosecutors from Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts all contributed to this result. I also want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi for her support in coordinating the federal response.
Questions? Can you tell us anything about his motive and the 2 sets of victims and how they might be related and how he might be related to them?
That is not information that we can share right now, but as soon as that information becomes available, we will share that with the public.
Are you able to say anything of what led you to link the 2 crimes, perhaps initially?
Yes, the question was how were we able to link him to the 2 crimes? So investigators identified the vehicle that he had rented in Boston and then drove to Rhode Island. And he was seen in the vehicle was seen outside of Brown, and there was security footage that showed a person who resembled him. There was financial investigations that were going on in the background that linked him not only to that car, but also to the hotels that he had rented and the car that he had used to not only drive to Rhode Island, but then back to Boston. And then there was the security footage that captured him within a half mile of the professor's residence in Brookline. And there is a video footage of him entering an apartment building in the location of the professor's apartment. And then later that evening, he is seen about an hour later entering the storage unit wearing the same clothes that he had been seen wearing right after the murder.
So you have an extensive video canvas as part of this investigation that leaves you no doubt.
This is the evidence we have right now. We are coming to you tonight because the federal complaint was unsealed, and we wanted to provide you with the information and to assure the public that law enforcement collectively believe that we have the person, that we identified the person, and that person is dead, and that he was the person responsible not only for the Brown shootings, but for the Brookline shooting.
Can you speak to before the self-inflicted gunshot wound, was there any interaction between law enforcement and Neville Valente? Like, any words exchanged or anything like that?
No, when investigators went into the storage facility tonight to execute the federal search warrant, he was dead.
Do you think he entered there this evening?
No.
He entered an hour after what happened in Brookline.
Yes.
And do you know how long that storage, did he rent that? Like how long?
Our understanding from the financial investigation is that he had rented a storage facility at the location in Salem, New Hampshire in November.
Can you confirm whether or not he used the same weapon in the Brown shooting as he did in the MIT shooting?
Ballistics investigation was ongoing and has not been completed at this time, so we're not going to comment on that.
Can you give us any sense of when you started to recognize perhaps that he was the same person? I know it was through the video, but when it sort of dawned on investigators that these two cases were related?
It was in the last 24 to 48 hours that my understanding, according to my understanding, is when the link began to be established. And that was mainly, he was using a phone that was obfuscating ability to track it. And he was using financial, like not credit cards that were tied to his name. And so he was sophisticated in hiding his tracks.
According to the complaint that was unsealed, it says that Neville Valente and the MIT professor had attended the same academic program together in Portugal from 1995 to 2000. Do you know if they knew each other? Or
My understanding is that they did know each other.
Have they been in communication since that last date?
I don't have any information to provide you.
Would you call this targeted?
We're still investigating the motive in this case and trying to, because like I said, he was very careful in his communications, and we just don't have any information right now to answer that question. But when we get that information, we will share it. The storage locker in which his body was found, my information is that no.
Was that satchel in the storage?
Yes.
locker? What was in it?
Can you repeat the question? I can't hear you online.
So the question was there anything else in the storage unit aside from the defendant's body? And the answer is he was found in there with his satchel. There was nothing else found in there that I am aware of, but they're still in the process of searching that facility right now.
Did he kill himself right away?
We don't have any information when he killed himself, but he was dead when investigators found his body.
Can you tell us anything about his life? Like, I think he said the last time he address was in Florida. Like, what he was doing? Was he working? Was he in the field?
know the physics which he had studied? Any sort of biographical stuff you can tell us about him?
Because his identity was only become aware to us in the last 24 hours, I can't provide you with any of that information right now, but I'm sure once we have a full understanding of what he has been doing, where he has been, aside from the time when he entered into New England in November, we will provide that information. We have no information that he knew any of the victims or anyone who was at that auditorium on the night that he went in and killed.
Have you been able to find anything about when he did attend Brown, whether there were any issues, if he was there briefly, was he kicked out, you know?
That information hasn't been provided to us yet.
Given what you see on the video of the MIT professor's home, is there any doubt that he was the intended target of the killing?
The information that I know, and again, the investigations are going to continue to be able to provide you with all the answers that you are asking, is that there was no doubt that he was the intended target.
What was inside that satchel?
That is information that is still being, the investigators are still on the scene right now conducting that investigation, and we haven't received information as to what was in the satchel.
Was there any suicide notes?
No information right now.
How about in terms of the charges themselves? I mean, there was a crime in Rhode Island and also the 1 year. How does that sort of get sorted out? How does he get charged, et cetera?
So there are state crimes, including the murders, and then there are the federal crimes, which is one that we brought tonight. The jurisdictions are working together, and we have been sharing information together and encouraging everyone to share information that could result in solving the crimes that were committed in their jurisdictions. And we will continue to do that if there are any doubts that are left with closing out those investigations. We will continue to share all the information so that we can share with you whatever motivations come to light as to why these heinous crimes were committed.
Very annoying that we can't hear the questions that they're asking.
He acted alone, or is there any evidence that anyone else was traveling with him when he came here?
We have no information that he was acting in concert with anyone else right now.
Anything interesting found in the car?
That search is still underway. But we will provide you again with more information as soon as we get it.
Anything more you can tell us about, you said he hid his own tracks. Can you talk about that a little bit? What he did?
So he was using an application on his phone, and there have been a couple of things. The Google phone doesn't allow officers to ping the direct location and get real-time location information about the phone. There was also beliefs that he was using SIM cards that were possibly European SIM cards that are carried through a provider in the United States, but does not provide real-time information about tower connections.
You are watching U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, Lisa Foley, provide a press conference detailing more on the capture, really, of Claudio Neves Valente. He was found dead inside a storage unit this evening. They believe he was the person who carried out the shooting at Brown University, killing 2 students, as well as the person who killed an MIT professor this week in Brookline, Massachusetts. They think he acted alone. We've been hearing from officials in both Providence, Rhode Island, and now Massachusetts.
All right, guys, I'm going to take you away from that now. That was the sort of least exciting press conference. They're like the FBI and the ATF, and we just heard from the AG. That was it, basically. Gave us a little more understanding, but not a ton. Yeah, the Google phone thing is, if you know tech, that's been known for years. Apple phones provide a much more precise pinpoint of where people are, because it's actually one of their feature sets within the phone. Like, when you drop a pin or you share your location between you and someone else that has an Apple phone, that is what they use to track you, basically. You can do it with Android phones. It's not as easy, and it's you can do it. It just depends. Like they said, he was using an app to obfuscate where he was and what he was doing, and probably turned off tracking, and turned off what they call Google location services, which renders your phone like not trackable. The only way they can do it is through cell phone site triangulation, but then to do that, they need to know where you are and it doesn't work for real-time tracking. Works great for court cases, works great for someone who is standing still, like if they're in a home or something like that. Doesn't work great for people who might be moving because you can't triangulate that fast. It only works if you're trying to find a pinpoint of someone at an exact point in time. It doesn't work so great if you're trying to like literally follow someone down a road. So that's more what they were looking for. Montana said, "Good thing it's closed captioned." Yeah, I couldn't hear anything from from the reporters. Why do they do that? Why do they have press conferences without microphones for the reporters? They do this in sport as well. They'll have press conferences, but you can't hear anything from the people asking questions. And it's like, I get the media's job is to then report what they're asking, but if you're going to run a live stream, at least let the audience hear what the reporters are asking. Like it's a bit stupid. All right, give me a sec, and then we'll continue. All right, there we go. This is actually not what I was going to do tonight. I had a completely different show planned to do with case updates for stories we've been following. I was going to do something completely different, and then we got on to this. We were supposed to be doing so I was going to give you the update on John Paul Miller. Do you guys know about this? John Paul Miller, he was the husband of Mika Miller, and he has been indicted on federal charges. Did you guys hear about this? Yeah, it is. I like the idea of it. He's been indicted on charges of cyber stalking and making false statements to federal authorities. You know what we say about karma. Sometimes it doesn't come in the form of what you think it will, but it has definitely finally come for JP Miller, John Paul Miller. I'm happy to hear about that because John Paul Miller is an absolute F. That guy is just an F. Flat F. The guy's an asshole. Can't stand him. Think he's a snake in the grass. Yeah, so he faces years behind bars for an alleged campaign of terror against his wife in the weeks before she was found dead. They're saying he was indicted by a grand jury on federal cyber stalking and lying to investigated charges that he was charged with on Thursday. That is great news. Very happy about it. Took a while, but we have some sort of hope here in regards to it. So I'll take you to an update on these charges if I can get to it. Nope, that's not it. We should have a... Okay. Fine. We'll just use this one. They're saying here, the indictment includes claims previously uncovered by the Daily Mail or included in civil lawsuits against Miller by several parties. They said here, Miller sent unwanted and harassing communications to his estranged wife until her death. Well, we knew about that. They're saying the harassing behavior include Miller posting a nude photo of the victim online without her consent, causing tracking devices to be placed on her vehicle, and in one instance, contacting her over 50 times in a single day. The indictment also alleges he interfered with her finances and her daily activities, and on one occasion damaged her vehicle tires. They're saying his reign of terror allegedly began on November 16, 2022, and continued until Mika's death. They're saying Miller's harassment intended to kill, injure, harass, or intimidate her and put her in reasonable fear of death or serious bodily injury. The second charge accuses him of lying to federal investigators 3 times during the probe into her death, which was later ruled an S word by the coroner. Federal investigators interviewed him about the allegations, and he lied in his responses. Miller said he did not damage the victim's tires when in fact he purchased a tire deflation device online and sent messages to others regarding the victim's vehicle. Miller told federal agents he had hired a private investigator to protect her from buying guns. In reality, he hired the investigator to cyberstalk her for alleged adultery. So, lying to authorities. Then on October 12, 2024, he falsely claimed that he called Mika more than she called him when he bombarded her with 50 calls in a single day. So it seems like justice is finally coming for JP Miller. Finally, that guy deserves to go to jail and someone to lose the keys. Someone needs to lose the keys so we never have to hear from this scumbag ever again. He is just a trash bag of a guy. Can't stand him. Think he's an absolute loser. And, you know, the thing that always got me was this up here. This told me everything I ever needed to know about JP Miller. This 36 seconds describes and gives to me everything he's about.
It really hadn't hit me. You know, I've gotten to spend, as Christians, of course, we know she's not here and in heaven, and she's, you know, worshiping and enjoying, and probably hadn't even had time to look down here yet. But I got to lay next to her body and spend time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up. You know, I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week, and I can't wait to see her again one day. It really hadn't.
That's actually not the one. The one is it's the same video, but this one doesn't have it in it. It's the one where he says like, "Oh, you all know, like she was basically crazy," and he's trying to tell like his audience how much like of a nutcase she was before her death and all this stuff. This guy is the biggest "see you next Tuesday" ever. He is a CUNT. It's exactly what he is. I wish I could say that word, because that is the perfect description for JP Miller. He's an absolute C word. I hope he goes to jail. I hope we never have to hear from his dumb face ever again. And I truly believe Mika Miller would be alive today if he wasn't in her life. I think she'd be alive today, 100%. He is the definition of DV relationship. The definition. Yeah, he just. Yeah, I hope we never see him again, scumbag. Enjoy. I love how the authorities found something to get him on. They're just like, this guy's such a like a CUNT that we're just gonna find something. We're gonna find something to take to a grand jury, and they did. They're just like, we're not gonna just let this go. We're gonna find something we can get him on. It's great work. This is interesting too. A story we had last week. Remember Brianna Aguilera? Well, her family have requested a second autopsy. They want an independent autopsy completed on her body, because they think that the autopsy that was done by the APD and the medical examiner that ruled her death an S word is not true. I just thought I'd bring you that. I don't have any more information other than that. I just know that they're looking at getting a second autopsy done on her. Let's see. I want to take you to. Yeah. So we don't often do things out of Hawaii, but I do actually have something out of Hawaii. I just want to see if every time I bring you a missing person, they tend to be found. So every time I bring you someone who's been missing, they end up being like located, which is a good thing. But they say help sought to find missing elderly Kona woman or Connor. Here's a photo of her. Her name is Jackie Glenn. Jackie Glenn, and she is missing out of Hawaii. We don't do too many stories out of Hawaii, but she is missing from Hawaii. Here, where is my photo of her? There we go. Here it is. Here's Jackie. She is missing, and last time she was seen was December 10, and they're saying there's a homicide squad investigating her disappearance. According to her brother Chet, he said he was instructed by police to not go into specifics about her case. According to police, Jackie Glenn was also has a sister in Kona or Connor and was reported missing by family members. She was reportedly last seen at about 6:30 a.m. Friday, December 5th, in the 75 to 200 block of Nani Kalua Drive, and they're saying she was wearing a peach-colored shirt, blue denim jeans, and black tennis shoes. They're saying she was that some people saw her about 9 p.m. on December 3 at a card game at a friend's house. She's described as Caucasian, 5 feet 6 inches tall, 125 pounds, with curly gray hair and brown eyes. Because of her age, police consider her endangered. She reportedly mentioned going to Hilo with friends, but did not say when she planned to return. They said that she said she was going to take the bus. The bus goes to Hilo side, and it takes all day, but there's no parking, no gas, no driving. And this is her brother saying, I did not speak to her about that. Asked her if she's ever taken the bus before and left her own vehicle behind. Her brother says, yes, she has in the past, but was it a regular thing? No. Chet says she also didn't take her cell phone with her. He says that is an oddity for most people. I mean, she forgot it 100 times just coming over here. But I think that most people, whether they use it a lot or not, travel with their cell phone nowadays. And they're saying Jackie Glenn is divorced and her ex-husband reportedly lives on the mainland. She has no children, according to her brother. And yeah, apparently there is a homicide investigation reporting her disappearance from the island, which is a bit odd. Why would you need a homicide investigation for someone who is missing like this? But there you go. Yeah, it doesn't say who said she was going to Hilo or Hilo. Doesn't tell you. It just says, yeah, that's what it is. So I can't tell you I know the area very well. Unfortunately, I don't. I don't actually know this area very well. Yeah. They're just saying if anyone has any information on her and lives in Hawaii, that you should contact these numbers. And I mean, it's almost 2 weeks. 2 weeks since anyone saw her at all. That's a long time for her to be missing, especially when she can't really leave the island as such. Yeah, it's a little odd. And the fact that her ex-husband lives on the mainland in America and there's no one out there that they know of who would want to hurt her. But yeah, her brother said they've got homicide squad working on this. That's what I was told. He was also instructed by police not to go into specifics with the media. I don't know what that means, but when the cops are asking you not to go into specifics and not to tell the media, it's normally because they don't want someone finding out, because they don't want someone cluing on that they're being tracked or looked after or someone's trying to find them. So who is the person that might want to hurt her? And why would the cops not want to tip them off? Like how are they connected to this woman? Her name is Jackie Glenn. Where is this area? Kailua Kona. Where is Kailua Kona? It's in Hawaii on the Big Island. Okay. Ping doesn't know where that is. Okay, I can show you a map. That's what I can do. So this is the area where she lived. And if we zoom out, that is where it is on the Big Island. So this is the island of Hawaii. And there's some of the little islands up here like Honolulu and some of the other ones which Ping doesn't know or know how to pronounce them. But she's on what they call the Big Island. So there you go. There's her area down here. So it's not like she could walk away and go to America. Well, not America. Hawaii is America. But the mainland. It's not like she can go to, California. Not like she can do that. Not like she can get to Honolulu because it's all the way over here. So she is missing. So missing from down here. Let's have a look. It's not a very big town. Like it's got some things. It's got, homes and got hotels, beautiful hotels. Look at that. So it's a pretty busy little place, a busy town. It's got a lot of tourist type things. Shopping mall, restaurants and bars, and a place called Coconut Grove Shopping Mall. I like the fact that it's called Coconut Grove. So where is she missing? What's her street called? Where is it? What's her street called? Nani Kalua Drive. Okay. Where is that? Aha, here. Right here. So she was missing from this drive. This is where she was last seen. Very big road. Goes basically all through the block of housing, all the way through here. And then goes up into this area where it's a bit more spaced out. It's not as tight housing. Like down here, there's a house on every block. But if you just go up here, they're a lot more spread out. Look at that place. That place looks like it's been hit with hail. But yeah, so last seen on this road, possibly about a bus. Apparently going to Hilo on a bus. Why she'd want to go there, don't know. But yeah, it goes all the way through town too. Let's have a look. Where's Hilo or Hilo? And how would you get there? It's all the way over here. It's on the opposite side of the island. There's Hilo or Hilo. It's all the way over here. That's a long distance for... It's basically the opposite side of the island directly. Why would she want to go here? And to get there, about the only way you can go is to go around the island. You can't go through the volcano here. So you have to go up and around or, through here. It's a long trip for a elderly woman to make without telling people. Strange. Marlene said travel between the islands is only by air, so they would have a record of her flight, no boat or ferry travel between islands. Wonder if you need to register to go on the bus though. Like, would there be a bus that goes from Kaloa Kona to Hilo where you just pay money like cash? Or would it be like Greyhound where you have to buy a ticket online? Because it's not exactly a very quick trip. They said it takes like 8 hours to do the trip. It's not like, 10 minutes or something. So normally for those long-term bus trips, you have to order a ticket. So I wonder if that's here. Kailua Kona to where's the Kailua Kona? Yeah, let's do Kailua Kona to Hilo. Okay. Apparently the bus is free and it's called Helion Bus. And apparently it runs between Kona and Hilo around the island, and services run Monday through Saturday with limited commute-focused schedules. And apparently it is free with the Token Transit app as well. But apparently all fares are free. It takes 3 hours and 34 minutes roughly to go to the two places roughly. Sometimes it can be as quick as 2 hours and 49 minutes. It depends how many stops they're doing along the way. If it's taking more stops, it'll be like 3 hours and 34 minutes. If it's sort of like an express one, it goes 2 hours and 56 minutes. So not exactly all day like the brother said, but if you were going to go there and come back, I mean, you're talking about 6 hours of travel time. That is almost the entire day. No, she lives in Kona. Buses have cameras. That is true. That is true. You would think they might be able to track it down. That's really interesting that the buses are free. That's cool. Glad they do that for people to help them get around the island. That's great news. It's not great news for Jackie though, because now we don't know where she might be or why she wanted to go to the opposite side of the island. So they're saying here, in what I'm reading, that people often travel to the opposite side of the island, and some people even commute. Like they commute to work on the opposite side of the island every day. So they may live on the opposite side and they travel to Hilo or Hilo to go to work. That's interesting. That's a huge commute. 3 hours of commuting time every day. Woman of Steel said they could find out if she boarded. They could. We'll have to keep an eye on this one about Jackie, but it sounds like her brother would like her home for Christmas. And there you go, dressed up like Mrs. Claus. And I think her family would like her home. So I'll keep an eye on this one out of Hawaii, and I'll tell you if we get any news or not. Gayla said, but she would have been back at home by now. Yeah, she's been missing for like 2 weeks. So it's not like she just missed her bus. She's been missing for almost 14, 15 days. Missing since the 5th of December, which is a long time. 2 weeks. So I'm hoping we get a good update on this one. I have a good track record with missing people. Every time I talk about it, they seem to be found. So hopefully she will be located too. All right, guys, it's been a weird night with the stupid press conferences, and we didn't get to do a ton of true crime tonight. So I will we'll have a more jam-packed true crime show tomorrow night. Oh, we have a lot of Christmas stuff to do this weekend too. We have American Christmas items to taste test. We have a Kit Kat cabin to make with Mrs. Ping, and we have a whole bunch of other things to do before the big day next week. So keep an eye out for that. Mrs. Ping's actually going to be on camera making this Kit Kat cabin. So we're going to do that on the weekend. Yes. All right. We'll be back tomorrow. All right. I love you all. Hey, thanks to Danny for the membership. I don't think anyone donated today. I don't think so. Sean did. Our daily donation from Sean. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's very kind. All right. Good night, everyone. Bye.